Right, hi and welcome to another post off this mk2 Jaguar wide-body two-door coupe. Just a quick update on the exhaust, which I'm working on. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that I'm going to get it all in. So what I've done, I made the rear three. So I can't take them off bench because I've welded it to the bench, so I can set up 1, 2 and 3 up against it because it's that tight. But what I did have to do when I put this set onto the engine into it, it went in, and I was happy, it was just okay. It's close in a couple of areas, but a couple of nice little heat shields will sort that out. But what I did have to do was this pipe here, and I'll take a picture looking down over the top of it so you can see better the outlay of what I've got here. But this here was about 40 mil forward, and that meant that even though I could get number 1 pipe in, number 2 pipe I was struggling because it was in the way. So I've had to bring it this way about, like say, about 40 mil. So I can get another pipe. So if let's just say that this bit of pipe is coming down from number 2, I can just get that in. Don't know if you can see it right well, but I can get that down there. And then number 3 is going to have to come up and around over here. So I'm going to utilise this area to try and keep my lengths. But I can get, like I say, I can get, it looks pretty much I can get them in. So what I've done here is, I lined up the 2 flanges so they're running horizontal with each other, and I brought them so that, well, they are touching the 2 flanges because they're really close on the engine. So I've brought it so they're touching. Then I welded this in place so this can't move. And this one here, let me just take it off because obviously I need to get it on and off so I can check it. So that's what I've got so far, and that's my length, and that length matches what I've got here. They're not all exactly the same, but like I say, compromise, like I said in my last video. But that's what I've got so far, and I've put some stops on the bench, and this then sits in the stops, and it's only got a little bit more, but I put it up against the stops and that's fitted in. That's just wait for holding it there. So every time if I take it off and put it on the car and bring it back, I know where I'm working in relation to this set. So that's what I've done here. And I also measured, because originally the 2 cast manifolds come to here and then came down, so the engine mounting bracket which sits here, I've had to come around that. So what I've done is I measured it and drew it onto the bench. So that's why it comes round like that, because I know where that is. So I know I can't come any further than that there, because that's where the engine mounting is. But I've got all this area to play with, obviously keeping out of the way of this thing. So that's where I am with that. This is my measurement, this bit of wire. That's my runner length, if you can see that. And so all my pipes are pretty much close onto that knot there. I don't know if you can see the knot. So that's where I'm hoping to hit in my length. So all my pipes, when I'm making it, I have to make it so it matches that. So it's not just a case of, oh, I'm going to get the pipe to there, because the length could be wrong. Totally. So I've had to, it's not been just a case of putting some pipes and joining them up. Like I said before, I've tried to get the length right, or as close as I can, and get them as closely balanced as I can in length. So that's for that. So I'm constantly using that to make sure that I get my length right. This bit of aluminium I've got here, this is for marking when I'm cutting, and so I've got 90s, 45s and 180s. So if I need to cut down to wherever I wish to cut, to make sure I'm getting a perfect cut line, because I don't have a offcut saw or anything like that to cut it. I have to do it by hand with the hacksaw. So this is just a piece of alley I've formed around the pipe with a Jubilee clip. I tighten it up on Jubilee clip, and then I just mark around with a marker under it and then take it off. And I've got a perfect line round there that's square to the pipe, so I can cut it off. So I get a really nice cut, and I know exactly where it is. So that's what that's for. That's where I am with the exhaust. I've not done anything on the chair backs because I've just been concentrating on the exhaust, and I'll tell you, it's taking some time. But it's so complicated trying to get all this squeezed into that engine bay. It really is. Sometimes I wonder why I take these things on, but I enjoy the challenge. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing on Jag. Saturdays, like I said, I've got my son with me, so we're still working on Land Rover. I did do some work on the Land Rover, so what I've been doing at Land Rover, now I said I was going to do a video of the transfer box intermediate shaft, but unfortunately when I put it all back together, it was during the week my son was at school, so I've not been able to take any video of me assembling it, but I have taken some video and I did it on my phone. So the sound was a bit quiet, and I don't know why, because on the phone it's good, but when I transfer it across the computer it's not. But anyway, we're going to try and up that, so hopefully the sound should be good and the video quality is reasonable, because underneath I did have the light on the camera on, so it's not too bad. So I've got the transfer box, the intermediate shaft, me putting that in, and I show you where I've feeler gauged it in, and then the PTO for the winch, because this is originally it's a winch model GS, so I have the winch for it, or at least most parts of it. I am missing some bits which I'm looking for, but the cost is just unbelievable. It's crazy, the cost of this stuff for Land Rovers. At one time you couldn't give these things away, but anyway, yeah, so I've got videos of that, and then I think I've got a video of me setting up the cables, but I'm not quite sure. So if I haven't got that won't be in this video because I've not done that, so I'll check that when I get home. But if I haven't got it, then I'll probably do a video and just show you roughly what I did, but I think I've got that in. But anyway, and also I've done a guard for the front, which I'll show you, and that's about it. So this is the video for the gearbox. So this is the intermediate shaft for this Land Rover 101, which I've been working on. I did mention when I was doing the gearbox that I had a spare what I'd bought, Range Rover, and the intermediate shaft was wrecked on that as well. So pardon me, I was struggling to find one, so I started looking at modifying this one to repair it, and I found a company that supplies sleeves. See the three here. So I've machined that down using, I was using a CBN tip, cubic boron nitride, for extremely hard face materials, alloyed steels and so forth. That seemed to struggle somewhat with it, so I used a ceramic tip. I'm not sure what the grade of the ceramic is, but anyway, machined it down, and these are exactly the right diameter for the needle bearings. What I've done is be able to see that. Oops, you have to bear with me a sec because I'm by myself here, and it's rolling all over its shop. There, that's ground out, so that's the oil feed for the needle bearing. There's a gallery that runs down the shaft there. You can see the other feed points there, and also around the other side here, there, that's where the oil comes in, which is, it's all drip fed, which I'm quite surprised because it has an oil pump inside the gearbox, but it doesn't feed this part. It's just splash fed, drip onto some parts in the actual transfer box, which feed this shaft, which I think is pretty poor, really. Anyway, I've gone through it. I've managed to see my other bits. That gear there is the main primary gear, which runs the secondary, I don't know what they call it, the secondary shaft in the transfer box, which is the output, which has the gears on. That's the original 101. This one here, the bottom here, I'll move that out of the way. This one at the bottom here, that one's a Range Rover. And I've changed the gear on the main output shaft, this secondary shaft thing or whatever it is. I really like to get proper terminology for it, but anyway. So I've got a better ratio now with that gear there. And this, you have to bear with me, sorry for the shaking. Fits perfectly. It's actually a lovely job, is that. So I'm hoping that should have resolved any problems that can be had with these. But the shaft was extremely hard, really hard. So hopefully those new needle bearing raceways will take the stick, but we'll see. Can but try, can't we? So that's that. So I'm going to get under and I'm going to start fitting that in. So I've got the back of the output shaft part to take off the gearbox so I can get that in. But anyway, that's where we are with it. So yeah, I'll update you as I'm going on with the next bit. So here we are. The intermediate gear set is in. You can see the feeler gauge there in between. So the set is supposed to be 0.22 millimeters to 0.36 millimeters. I've just managed to squeeze in there 0.35 millimeters. So that's worked out really well. You can see this is the Range Rover set here. So those are the gears that you have to change, but they go straight on. It's all exactly the same, except they're bigger and smaller, obviously. But yeah, so there we go. That's the setting, and it wasn't that bad actually. Little fumbling around this last little bit here, getting the thrust washer in and the backing plate for it, which has a little pin in. But there you go. So I've just got to put the handbrake and drive unit back on, and then prop shaft, and then the PTO goes on. So yeah, I'll show you that after. So there you have it, all back together, looking good. Just got the cable to attach there and adjust up, and I've got top of the selector forks to make sure that they're all perfectly in line. So we're doing that tomorrow, and then it's just the winch to recondition. Oh, and I've got to get there's a clamp that goes around there. It was missing when I got it because the winch wasn't on. It was actually in the back. But there you go, all nicely put together. It just needs cleaning up because I've smacked it up. But yeah, quite easy really. Let's hope the repair works well. And there you go. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to adjust the forks, gear selector fork there. See the nut there, or the bolt there. So one's prefixed with a roll pin, another one now needs adjusting onto it. So I'll adjust that. I think there'll be a feeler gauge that I'm going to check on my catalogue manual to see what it is. If there is one, which I would imagine there will be. So that's to be set. I've adjusted that as well for this bar that comes through here. So I've just set a little bit of play onto there. I've put this over into high ratio, which is this set of gears here, and the low ratio here. So It's in high ratio, and I've also moved the lever down there, as you can see, the red handle one, into high, and the lever here and the cable. So I've got to attach that onto this to set this for this, because obviously that bolt there clamps this lever arm here, which shifts this thing across here. So I've got that to set up, so that's what I'm going to be doing. Then once that's done, I'll put the cap back on. So, and then that should be all set up quite happily, nicely. So I'll show you when that's done. So I adjusted the fork up on the gear inside. It was 0.12 to 0.25 clearance, so I set it to 0.2. So that's done, and then me and my son adjusted the lever arm here for the forks to make sure that they were engaging properly both sides as it travelled left to right. So we've got all that sorted out, so that's all nicely done now, and up in the cab somewhere there, you can see with some coming through. But anyway, so that's now done. We're going to now do the PTO there, you can just see it. So the lever arm and the cable need putting on and adjusting up. So that's to do. I'm just doing the breather lines. I've just done the front axle. That's on now, on top of transfer box, and I'm not sure what we're going to do after we've got the cable. We'll do something. We've got something going on. Anyway, that's where we are so far. So what I've had my son doing is making a panel to go in the front here. Now, there was never a panel in here, and the only reason why I'm putting a panel in here, because it's covering all this stuff that's here. So one, it looks absolutely ugly as hell. Two, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't have been covered up in first place, because there is no airflow really onto that radiator. There's so much stuff in way there, it's just unreal. And just the way they get into all this just was stupid. So that is what we've made. So it's just a piece of 0.9 millimetre, I think it's 0.9. Yeah, it's 0.9 millimetre aluminium sheet, which we folded up, which sits in there like that. That then covers all the gubbins here. There's still airflow there if you want to think about airflow, but most of the airflow is being drawn from underneath the vehicle. And the actual engine cooler is still open. So this just covers the heater motor. That's it, and it's just bolted in. And then obviously this is going to be painted satin black, because I'm thinking, well, the Land Rover is going to be satin black. Whether I put camouflage on it, I'm not sure yet. But that's what we've got with that. But it will be black. And like I said, the grill, I've got to get a grill, because the grill I've got, that's a grill, that's off a lightweight, I do believe, which was on this. I have no idea why somebody put this on, but that was on it when I got it. So I've got to get a new grill, so this thing's going to get sold. I'm sure somebody might want a lightweight 101, not lightweight 101, a lightweight grill instead of a 101, which I require. So I've got that to finish. Well, it just needs painting, and when I've finished under there, which I've pretty much done, then that'll get bolted in then when it's painted. And then I'm on with winch. So the winch turns, it's quite happy as a winch, but it does need cleaning and some shot blasting and some paint and that, and I need some bits for that, and some bits underneath there. I've got the plate that goes up to the chassis, but the clamp that bolts to the plate, which bolts that thing up to it, that's missing. So I've got to try and find one of those, which is going to be impossible. And the reel for the wire, that's missing, with whatever else that's attached to that. So there's a few bits missing. I don't know why they are. It was just how it came. So I've still got some sourcing for that to do. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm hoping end of next week that the manifolds should be done, or really close. And then I can start prepping and welding properly. So that's that. So hopefully, touch wood, we should have the exhaust done, or nigh on completion. And whatever else we're going to be doing on this, I'll show you. But yeah, that's it really. Doesn't seem a lot, but it's been quite entailed as that manifold, and that's been taking quite some time. I thought it'd have gone quicker than what it has been, but it's just trying to get everything into such a small space has made it, and the lens, trying to keep the lens, they've made it really difficult. But anyway, I'm on top of it. Anyway, so as always, thank you for watching, those that do. And if you can encourage anybody else to watch and get them to subscribe, it'll be much appreciated. And like I say, any positive comments, throw them in there as always. And yeah, we'll get in there. Anyway, you lot take it steady, and I'll see you on the next posting of this Land Rover and Jaguar, which I'm working on. Haha, well, me and my son anyway. So you all take it steady.